Hey, what's going on everyone? In this video I'm going to continue what I left in my last video. In my last video I went until page 18. Here I'm going to continue furthermore, and I'm going to just do 6 pages this time because I was targeting 8 pages each time. So 8, 16, I did 2 per pages extra, but this time I'm going to stop at 24. Okay, now let's go and continue. So about 1.1% of all household in America, it accounts for 6.4% of the millionaire household. We estimate that approximately 22 of every 100 households headed by someone of Russia ancestry has a net worth of $1 million or more. This is in sharp contrast to the English ancestry group, in which only 7.71 in 100 of its members are in the Millionaire League. How much wealth does this Russian American millionaires group have in total? We estimate approximately 1.1 trillion, or nearly 5% of all personal wealth in America today. How can one explain the economic productivity of Russian Americans? In general, most American millionaires are manager owners or of businesses. Russians in disproportionate number are manager owners of businesses. Further, this entrepreneurial spirit seems to translate from one generation of Russians to the next. This Hungarian ancestry group also is entrepreneurially inclined. This group accounts for only 0.5% of all households in this country, yet it makes up 2% of the millionaire household. Contrast this with the German ancestry group, which accounts for nearly 1 in 5 households, 19.5%. In this country, only 17.3% of all millionaires households are headed by persons of German ancestry, and only about 3.3% of German households are in the Millionaire League. Thrifty Scots. The Scottish ancestry group makes up only 1.7% of all households, but it accounts for 9.3% of the millionaire household in America. Thus, in terms of concentration, the Scottish ancestry group is more than 5 times, 5.47, more likely to contain millionaire household than would be expected from its overall portion. 1.7% of American household, the Scottish ancestry group ranks second in terms of the percentage of its clan that are in the Millionaire League. Nearly 20.8 in 100 of its household are millionaires. What explains the Scottish ancestry group high ranking? It is true that many Scots were early immigrants to America, but this is not the major reason for their economic productivity. Remember that the English were among the earliest immigrants, yet their concentration numbers are far lower than those of the Scots. Also consider the Scots did not enjoy the same solid economic status that the English enjoyed during the years the nation was in its infancy. Given these facts, one would think the English ancestry group would account for a larger concentration of millionaire households than those in the Scottish group, but just the opposite is the case. Again, the Scottish ancestry group has a concentration level nearly 3 times that of an English group, 5.47 versus 2.06. What then makes the Scottish ancestry group unique? If an ancestry group has a high concentration of millionaires, what would we expect the income characteristics of the group to be? The expectation is that the group would have an equally high concentration of high income producers. Income is highly correlated with the net worth. More than 2/3 of the millionaires in America have annual household incomes of $100,000 or more. In fact, this correlation exists for all major ancestry groups but one, the Scottish. This group has a much higher number of high net worth households than can be explained by the presence of high income producing household alone. High income producing Scottish ancestry household account for less than 2% of the high income household in America. But remember that the Scottish ancestry group amounts for 9.3% of the millionaire household in America today. More than 60% of Scottish ancestry millionaires have annual household income of less than $100,000. No other ancestry group has such a high concentration of millionaires from such a small concentration of high income producing household. If income does not come near in the explaining the affluence of the Scottish ancestry group in America, what factors do shed light on this phenomenon? These are several fundamental factors. First, Scottish Americans tend to be frugal. Given a household's income, there is corresponding mathematical expectation of level of consumption. Members of this group do not fit such expectation. On average, they live well below the norm for people in various income categories. They often live in self-designed environment of relative scarcity. A household of Scottish ancestry with an annual income of $100,000 will often consume at a level typical for an American household with an annual income of $85,000. Being frugal allows them to save more and invest more than others in similar income groups. Thus, the same 100,000 income producing household of Scottish descent saves and invests at a level comparable to the typical American household that annually earns nearly $150,000. In the chapter that follow, we reveal the highest price typical millionaires reported paying for suits, shoes, watch, and motor vehicles. A significantly great number of millionaires with Scottish ancestry reported paying less for each item than the norm for all millionaires in the sample. For example, more than two-thirds, 67.3% of Scottish millionaires paid less for their most expensive motor vehicle than the norm for all millionaires surveyed. Because they accumulate wealth, the Scottish ancestry affluent have wealth to pass on to their offspring. Our research reveals that Scottish offspring typically become economically and emotionally independent even as young as adults, thus they tend not to drain their parents' wealth. Members of the Scottish ancestry group have been able to instill their values of thrift, discipline, economic achievement, and financial independence in successive generations. These values are also typical traits among most self-made millionaires. Small populations. Often small population groups are underrepresented in studies of the affluent, yet many contain high concentration of wealthy households. What small groups in particular? We estimate that all of the 15 small population ancestry groups shown in table 1 to 2 have at least twice the proportion of millionaires and proportion of all in the US households. Only about 3.5% of the US households are in the $1 million net worth league. All the groups listed in table 1 to 2 are estimated to contain at least twice this proportion. In total, all 15 account for less than 1% of all affluent households. In fact, there is compelling evidence of an inverse relationship between the size of an ancestry group and the proportion its members that are wealthy. In other words, large ancestry groups contain smaller proportion of millionaires on average than smaller groups. What about the number of years that average number of an ancestry group has been in America? The longer the time here, the less likely it will produce the disproportionately large percentage of millionaires. Why is this the case? Because we are consumption-based society. They have put all the information statistic here. Now let's go and continue here. Small population and on ancestry groups are those with fewer than 100,000 households residing in the US. According to the 1990 census of ancestry of the population of the United States, for example, household with Israel ancestry have 2,631 times greater the population of higher income $100,000 and over household than the proportion of all US household. For example, household with Israel ancestry have 0.3870 times the proportion of publicly assisted households than the population for all US households. For example, the Ancestry Economic Productivity Index for household of Israel ancestry 6.8095 is determined by taking their high income index 2.6351 and dividing it by their dependency index 0.3870. General, the longer average member of an ancestry group has been in America, the more likely he or she will become fully socialized to our high consumption lifestyle. There is another reason. First generation Americans tend to be self employed. Self employment is a major positive correlate of wealth. This is not to suggest that self employed and or being first generation American ensures membership among the ranks of millionaires. Most self employed Americans will never accumulate even modest level of wealth. The same is true for most generation Americans, but 23 million people in the country today were born elsewhere. That is a large gene pool. Note also that 12% of income Inc. Magazine's top 500 business entrepreneurs are first generation American. One might expect that the sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters of these people would automatically become even more successful economically than they. Not really. We will discuss intergenerational transfer in more detail in chapter 5 and 6, but allow us at this juncture to explain why the next generation is often less productive economically than the last. Victor and his children. Take the case of Victor, a successful entrepreneur who is first generation American. Entrepreneurs like him typically been characterized by their thrift, low status, discipline, low consumption risk, and very hard work. But after these genetic wonders become finance success, then what? What do they teach their children? Do they encourage them to follow dad's lead? Do their children also become roofing contractors, excavation contractors, scrap metal dealers, and so on? The chances are they don't. Fewer than 1 in 5 do. No, Victor wants his children to have a better life. He encourages them to spend many years in college. Victor wants his children to become physicians, lawyers, accountants, executives, and so on. But in so encouraging them, Victor essentially discourages children from becoming entrepreneurs. He unknowingly encourages them to postpone their entry into the labor market, and of course, he encourages them to reject his lifestyle of thrift and self-imposed environment of scarcity. Victor wants his children to have a better life, but what exactly does Victor mean when he says that? He means that his children should be well educated and have a much higher occupational status than he did. Also, better means better artifacts, fine homes, new luxury automobiles, quality clothing, club membership, but Victor has neglected to include in this definition of better many of the elements that were the foundation stone of his success. He does not realize that being well educated has certain economic drawbacks. Victor's well educated adult children have learned that a higher level of consumption is expected of people who spend many years in college and professional schools. Today, his children are under-accumulators of wealth. They are the opposite of their father, the blue-collar successful business owner. His children have become Americanized. They are part of the high-consuming, employment postponing generation. How many generations does it take for an ancestry group that today contains thousands of victors to become Americanized? Only a few must move into the American normal range within 1 or 2 generations. This is why America needs a constant flow of immigrants within the courage and tenacity of Victor. These immigrants and their immediate offspring are constantly needed to replace the victors of America. The authors and Toddy and Alex. Several years ago, we were asked to conduct study of the affluent in America. We were hired by Toddy, a corporate vice president of a subsidiary of a large corporation. Toddy's ancestors were English. His forefathers were in America before Revolutionary War. More recently, they owned steel mill in Pennsylvania. Toddy, their direct descendant, attended an exclusive preschool in New England. Later, he graduated from Princeton University. While in college, he played varsity football. Toddy, like many people in this country, had always believed that wealthy people inherited their fortunes. Toddy also believed that most wealthy people had English roots. So, what happened to Teddy? Long held opinions after he joined us out in the survey field, meeting America's millionaires. Most of the millionaire respondents Toddy met were first generation affluent, and most were not of English origin. Most of them attended public school. They drove American made automobiles, and it goes on and on. So I'm going to stop right here because I decided to go up to page 24. I'm going to continue this one in my next video. I hope you guys find this video helpful. Thanks for watching. See you guys on my next video.